Hey TV fans, I am back with the latest X-Files review. So this is going to be X-Files Season 2, Episode 14. It is called Die Verztert. I've probably butchered that last bit, but you get the gist. And hey, this has always been a favourite of mine. There's just something about this episode that just ticks so many boxes for things I love in a good episode of TV, a good episode of the X-Files. I always enjoy it when I rewatch it. Full spoilers for the episode, just in case you haven't seen it before. This episode aired originally on the 23rd of January 1995, actually my friend's birthday, so happy birthday for that day in 95, my good friend Sarah, so give her a shout out. And it got about 17.7 in the Nelson ratings at the time, so pretty solid. Scully and Mado are called in by a local New Hampshire sheriff when there is evidence of a satanic cult operating in his town. One of the teens has already died. That's how we open the episode. Paranoia has now gripped everyone. Group of faculty members at this local school who are playing with satanic things that really they shouldn't be playing with. And there's a whole backstory to what exactly is going on. A girl called Shannon, who becomes a big focus of the episode because her dad is involved. They've called up the devil. And about the time as Mulder and Scully come into town to investigate, there's also this mysterious substitute teacher, Phyllis Paddock, who's played by character actress Susan Blumart, something like that. Strange name, but that's fitting because she's a very strange and creepy woman. Brilliant eyes. She's so scary in the episode. Being mixed up somehow in this, and as things go on, we learn that she may well be the devil, or at least doing the devil's bidding, it's fair to say. It's funny that you've got the whole teacher's subplot in this, because there's a small role at the start of the episode for Laura Harris, who would a few years later become better known for The Faculty. And I just think about the whole thing, like teachers being possessed in that movie and kind of like creepy teachers. So kind of a little thematic thing there. So much going on in this episode, and really it shouldn't all work, but somehow it just all comes together so well and just really ticks all those fun X-Files boxes for me. It's very creepy at times, very atmospheric. I love the small town setting. It's really weird, but there's also some great character drama in it and some emotional scenes. But you also have some classic deadpan Fox Mulder humour in it. Like you do get some great macabre dialogue and reactions to things, so it just ticks a lot of those boxes, like I said, and it sets the tone pretty early with this really random but great scene involving raining frogs.
That's why I called the FBI. This may involve a deeper conspiracy. See, I grew up around here. Ever since I was a kid, I heard stories. This is a weird area. It has a strange air that I could chalk up to imagination. Till today.
Better hide your Megadeth albums.
I got the impression you didn't believe him either.
I didn't want to incite his already clearly aggravated imagination, but there is a weird feel to this place, and maybe there's some truth to those rumors.
I think he incited your imagination. I think this case is nothing more than a murderer taking advantage of local folklore. I mean, there's nothing odd about...
So, lunch?
Mulder, toads just fell from the sky.
Guess their parachutes didn't open.
You were saying something about this place not feeling odd?
There's that Mulder and Scully magic I love. I enjoyed the Megadeth line as well because there's some fun poking around at the whole satanic panic cult stuff. That's what I love about an episode like this and the X-Files when it's at its best, is you can have an episode like this which is very serious. At times there's some heavy stuff in it, it does go quite dark, still have room for like those gems of the lines, or like just these moments that are kind of odd and quirky and surreal but somehow just work so well within like a great X-Files episode. And the deadpan delivery and reactions in that scene, it just works so well because it's very true to the characters and the dynamic which they have formed. Though it's a standout scene, and hey, anything Magnolia can do, the X-Files can do better. But the start of the episode sets up a lot of intrigue for the plot. I really enjoyed the scene where Mulder notices water is going round the wrong way, which he thinks is odd because it's going, is it anti-clockwise? It should be going clockwise, or is it the other way around? Something like that. But that is a nice little pick-up, that scene. It's just riffing with so many great lines of dialogue. And this is a really strong Fox Mulder episode because he has one of my favourite ever Mulder lines later on in the episode, which is something along the lines of, "But you did know the consequences. Surely you didn't think you could call up the devil and expect it to behave." One of my favourite Mulder lines. Playing Shannon was a little known actress at the time called Heather McComb, involved in a lot of the best drama and some of the more disturbing moments of the episode, including this weird gross out science project she's doing at one point which freaks her out. And the actress, considering she was very young at the time, I think does a fantastic job in the episode and is sort of the heart of the episode. She makes some very disturbing and dark claims against her father. The actress, I think, does a great performance. Trigger warning, there might be some upsetting themes in these next clips.
I'll cut it open if you do the heart. Okay.
What's going on? My mom, she's a teacher. Well, was a teacher. My mom met Jim at some seminar or something. And they got married. My sister and I moved up here when I was about 4. She was about 2. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, my class, we took a field trip to what they call the American Stonehenge. And I remember when I was 4 years old, Jim took me in his car near there, and he made me in the back seat. He told me that if I ever told anybody that he would hurt me, as he touched me, I would pretend like I was out of my body, deep in the ocean, down with the fish, in the dark water. Somehow, I don't know, I managed to block out all these things, but lately it's all been, I'm remembering, the others too.
Others?
Yeah. Men and women. They would come to the house, when my mom was away. And they would take me down to the basement. It was really dark. It was like painted red with a dirt floor. They would wear these robes, black and red. And they would sing and they would chant, and then they would tie me and my sister up. These men and women, they would make us do things. They called me a breeder. They'd get me pregnant, and then they would kill the babies. I've had 3 children, and they're all buried in the cellar. They murdered my sister for a sacrifice. She was only 8 years old. It happened yesterday.
She's fantastic. It turns out her story might not be quite true, but we can't let old creepy Jimbo off the hook that easily, because in many ways it's still his fault. He's still be up to shady shit, and it's because of some of the things he's been up to and the rituals. Then poor old Shannon there has suppressed her memories and confused fantasy from reality because of a ritual which has been performed on her by her father. He is being lined up as like a future sacrifice for the devil, whether Jim wants to admit it or not. On a lighter note, Jim is actually played by Bulldog himself out of Frasier. Yes, Dan Butler, playing completely against type, but very effective in this role, and he's the one who eventually confesses everything to Mulder later on in the episode, and that leads to Mulder's classic line, "But as Mulder is tricked by the devil itself and called away to Scully," as the devil mimics her voice, leaves Bulldog prone for quite the come-uppers, as he is literally strangled to death by the snake, which mysteriously has disappeared from its glass container at the school. And you get another great line, "The devil travels in mysterious ways." You've got to really retcon it and think that Frasier Crane has come up with the ultimate revenge for all those pranks on him. Kelsey Grammer is the devil, let's face it.
Hello, this is Dr. Julius Irving. Some of the boys here at the club have a little bet going about the Mikado.
Well, perhaps I can help. I'm Niall's brother, Dr. Fraser Crane, and as luck would have it, I was in an all-male version of the Mikado at Oxford. People still ask to see my yum-yum.
I don't suppose you happen to remember the words to Three Little Maids?
3 little maids from school are we? Where does a schoolgirl well maybe? Filled to the brim with girlish glee. Maids from school.
Things ramp up very nicely towards the end of the episode as Mulder and Scully themselves are almost sacrificed in a very tense shower scene where they go for a little bit of a wash. But fear not, our heroes survive to fight another day and will be back next week. Basically, the devil ends up leaving no loose ends behind and makes a hasty retreat. Fantastic shot at the end of the episode of Mulder and Scully looking around the classroom, the resignation on the board, and something watching them from afar. Very nicely done, and a great little kick, because ultimately the devil escapes and survives. It's just the teachers involved have all been brought to justice. Probably one of my favourite endings to an X-Files episode. So yeah, I really enjoy this episode always. I know it's a little silly at times, but like I said, there's just so much in it. Some really good dark humour, some great lines of dialogue, dark stuff, and it's very unsettling, but with a good atmosphere as well. I think it's a very well directed episode. You've got some good guest stars, as I said, like Heather McComb, I think makes a real impression for such a young actress, and I really love the character of Miss Paddock as well, and the actress playing her. So overall it just ticks so many boxes, and I always have a fun spooky time rewatching this one. So you might think my score is a little bit high, but screw it, this is just a favourite of mine, and it has been for a while, so I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. Coming up next time on the X-Files for me, it's episode 15 of season 2. We're getting quite deep into the season now, and it's an episode called Fresh Bones. So the setup for this one is the death of a Marine who allegedly committed suicide unearths a disturbing truth at a Haiti refugee camp. And I have quite strong memories of this one. I've seen it a few times, and I remember it's got Daniel Bazzari, who played the lead guy, Teddy, in the brilliant first season of Murder One. I'm going to try and get on a bit more of a roll with these X-Files reviews and do these more regularly. So fingers crossed I'll try and be back within the next week with a review of that episode. But thanks for listening, everyone. Let me know your thoughts of this episode in the comments below. Do you like it as much as me or not so much? Like and subscribe as always. You can also support the channel on patreon.com/borednow, and that's just for $1 a month for a bunch of extra perks like commentaries, unpopular opinion videos, early access to reviews, bunch of other things. Or you can sign up to be a channel member across 3 different tiers of exclusive perks, early access, commentaries, exclusive bonus discussions, or behind the scenes type videos, etc. Either way, if you want to support the channel monetarily, you've got those 2 options. But thanks everyone, keep watching spooky TV, and I'll see you next time.
Friday.
Look at the body. The eyes and heart have been cut up.
The X-Files is taking you to some scary places in the past, but nothing could prepare you for where they're going next.
Hail the Lords of Darkness.
May the black powers of our forefathers make us strong.
The X-Files. Friday at 9, 8 Central.